I went to SUNY Albany and graduated with a degree in Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies this past May. I did it more because I went into undergrad without any kind of passions or interest in school. I was almost failing out after my first semester because I hated it so much. I just didn't have any classes I was into. I was very uninterested in all of them. Just didn't go, failed most of my tests. And then my second semester, freshman year, I took an intro to feminism class and I completely fell in love with it. I went to class every single day, did all of my readings, got really involved in the class, and that was pretty much it for me. I just knew that even if this is not technically a lucrative field to go into, I'd rather be happy doing something I enjoy and actually going to school for something I enjoy learning about than anything else. So I got my degree in that. My name is Jenna and I'm 22 years old.
I want to talk about how stressful that is, that you don't want to be a CVS, but you can't find a job that you want.
It really sucks, especially when you're in your 20s and you do have a degree, to be working in retail and to be not working in the field that you got that degree in. And I looked for jobs online a few weeks ago, and either I'm underqualified, I don't have enough experience, or it's like just not really in the exact field I wanted to go into for jobs that pay. I'm very much qualified for unpaid positions, but I don't think I'm really in the position to be working 40 hours a week for somewhere that's not going to pay me right now. I really want to help people. I've known that since I was younger. And it kind of just clicked when I fell into women's studies that this is kind of what I want to spend my life doing. I don't know position-wise exactly what I want to do, just because there is so much out there. I do want to go into nonprofit work, but I also know that nonprofit work isn't a field that really pays well, especially in the beginning. You're making $20,000, $30,000 a year, which is not much more than I'm making right now at CVS. But I think I would like to do that to get into higher paid positions, in that you have to go to grad school. But grad school just sounds like a lot more loans. And I thought about whether or not I would go back and do it differently. I might get a minor in something different, because I got a minor in communication and rhetoric, which is also because of interest, and it goes well into the whole nonprofit thing. I might go back and get a minor in education or maybe business, so I can go and do an MBA program, which is kind of a really broad degree, but at least you can kind of apply it more places. But I don't regret making women's studies my major at all.
Can we talk about your support system? What do they think about all this?
My mom is very, very supportive. She pretty much told me and my brothers, whatever you feel happy doing, completely go do that. My dad is supportive to my face, and I don't think he's as supportive behind the scenes. I know he's had conversations with my mother about me doing the whole women's studies thing and whether or not that really was a good choice for me. My younger brother is trying to go into music, and he's very much invested in that. And my dad is kind of apprehensive about being supportive about it because it is such a hard field to go into. But at the end of the day, they're both super, is really dedicated to us being happy. So I think that as long as we're not poor, as long as we have somewhere to live, even if we're not, the most wealthy people out there, they'll be happy for us. I think I mentioned once or twice to him that with the women's studies degree you can go into law. That was among the many things I was listing that you can do with the degree. And so every once in a while he'll kind of just be like, so, law school? And even though I've made it pretty clear that I don't actually want to go into law, he still likes to bring it up. He actually told one of our neighbors recently that I was going into law school. So now the neighbor refers to me as the lawyer, even though I've made it very clear I'm not doing that. So I expected, when I was really little, I wanted to be a model. So I expected myself to be sitting pretty and surrounded by gorgeous people. But when I grew up a little bit and I actually kind of had a grasp on what, 20 years old is and what the 20s are like, and they didn't seem like these super old people. I expected myself to have a job, possibly moved out of my house already, just because, I don't know. I mean, I guess all kids do the whole, when I'm 18, I'm moving out, and I'm no longer my parents' responsibility because I'm a legal adult. But I definitely expected that for myself. I expected to have a more stable career. I also never expected to go into women's studies. So I guess I kind of assumed that I would go into accounting or law or pre-med or never pre-med actually. But I expected myself to go into something that was more stable and also find success in that. I also think when I was younger, even though I didn't necessarily want kids, I just kind of assumed I would have them. So I think I expected myself to be on the path to the whole like settle down family type thing by 22. My parents were together for 4 years before they got married, and then they got married, had my older brother, a few years later had me, then had my younger brother. So my mom, by the time she was my age, she already had a kid. I come from an Italian background, so if you know Italian grandparents at all, the kids and family is kind of like drilled into you as a little girl. And even though we're not typically like old school Italian, that still was kind of there. So I think that was kind of coming from that side actually. So it wasn't so much the career side of it from my family. It was more the like family settle down side of it. And then from society and media and school, especially when you're 10 years old in your honors classes, they kind of just drive this whole career path into you. So, 5th grade, you're preparing for middle school, you're preparing for high school, you're preparing for college, then, once you graduate college, you're supposed to have some kind of job right away. So I think everything kind of just instills this like life path and a progression of things the way they should be into you from the time you're like 8, 9 years old.
What has surprised you the most about yourself?
Surprised me the most? I guess the fact that, as well as the whole women's studies path that I didn't see coming at all, is the fact that I did choose a path that was so up in the air. I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm a very logical person, very rational. I don't do things based on feeling a lot, which I think kind of doesn't make sense with the whole women's studies thing, because it's a very emotional, it is rooted in fact. It is rooted in academia. It's also a very, emotional field in that it deals with so much. But at the same time, I'm not that kind of person. I don't do things on impulse often. So the fact that I chose a path that really wouldn't yield any immediate gratification or results, I think was surprising to me, because I kind of usually choose things that I know will work out in the end. I guess in like a deeper sense of what makes me happy is seeing young women who are really empowered and not super down on themselves. Because I was someone, up until I was like 18 years old, I had the worst self-esteem, you know what I mean? Society kind of helps that, you know what I mean? They kind of want girls to have low self-esteem so they can buy all these products and buy into all these notions of what they should be. So just when I see girls in high school not doing that and being supportive of one another and not being jealous and hateful, that makes me really happy. Seeing young people in general who are socially aware and like stand up for those things and actually like take action against that makes me happy. And seeing older people who, especially like I have 2 old Italian grandmothers who were brought up in a world, in a society that kind of enabled them to be really racist and really kind of bigoted towards different people. And like even seeing them kind of have their, like, not be that way, you know what I mean? Kind of like try to break free of that thinking that was instilled in them. Just like seeing people trying to be open-minded and trying to love one another makes me really happy.